All right, let's get down to business. I was just going to do a community post on YouTube and get it over with, but I don't see anyone talking about Wendell and Wild on Netflix. Same person that made The Nightmare Before Christmas, same person that made Coraline, made this black girl character role, leading, and nobody's talking about it, so I feel obligated to let you guys know that this was a very good movie. What I will say at first, it's interesting how, even if you don't think this movie is like a great 10 out of 10, y'all are consuming such slop that it's interesting how you won't even give certain things a chance. But you know what? This is what I will say. There are problems right now. There are problems in Hollywood. The biggest problems in terms of movies, is live action movies are too dark to see anything. They're getting too dark. All these Hollywood productions are too dark for some reason, whether it be House of the Dragon or anything else, literally anything else that has any darkness. You cannot see anything. Do not tell me to change my brightness on my own TV. Do not tell me that. I should be able to watch a movie as is. I don't change the brightness on my TV. In fact, it's a little bit brighter than it's supposed to be. And you're going to tell me that I need to change my brightness? No, sirree, Bob. The next problem is animation. Well, there's a dude that thinks animation isn't for adults, which is kind of strange when South Park has been alive for a very long time. And I don't rep South Park. I don't recommend you watch it. And I actually hate it. But it is an example of adult animation, just like Bob's Burgers is a form of adult animation, because that is not a kid's show. If you want to know my opinions about Bob's Burgers, link is in the description to that. Check that out. Check out my anime playlist. A lot of anime is not for children, so I just don't understand why this dude would ever say such stupid crap. But the problem that I think any animation production, it's really interesting. Like when I watched Encanto, I thought that it was too quick. It was too rushed. What I will say about Wendell and Wild is that it was far too rushed. It was too rushed of a story. I felt like, wait a second, why is this all going up in a neat little, cute little bow? Like, we could spend a little more time on this. It just seemed like they were fast tracking it. The beginning part was really good. I felt really happy about that part. I felt really good. But then here we go to the middle, and then all of a sudden it's like, what? We're already at the end? Okay, so I'm going to just talk about the story real quick, because I really want y'all to be interested in this spoiler review. If you don't want to be spoiled, please go to Netflix. If you have it, do not buy Netflix or do not pay for Netflix if you do not already have it, because they're trash, can't stand them. But if you already have it, please go watch Wendell and Wild. Give 2 thumbs up, because for some reason they love to promote the stupid Kissing Booth number 8 or something or whatever. But Wendell and Wild, they did absolutely no promotion for. I only saw 1 to 2 advertisements for this movie. It's really ridiculous. So the first thing I would like to talk about is, why is the movie named Wendell and Wild when it follows a black girl? Interesting how Coraline got a movie called Coraline. And you could say, oh, The Nightmare Before Christmas wasn't called Jack, was it? No, of course it wasn't, because it was about Halloween Town. The Nightmare Before Christmas was about Halloween Town. It wasn't about Jack. In fact, there were a lot of scenes with Sally, but what I will say is Coraline can't get her own movie interesting, but whatever. That is a -1, though, in my opinion. That's a -1 from what I was originally going to give it, because I'm not playing those games. I'm literally not. I'm not here for it. You can be mad at me. You can watch the movie and tell me what you think. If you think that those demons overshadowed the black girl that they kind of promoted the movie on when you did see a promotion, which I literally told you I only saw 2 promotions, 2 advertisements, 1 on TV and 1 online. That was it. Literally, that was it. I promise you, that was it. That was all the promotion they gave this week. And it's really interesting, because when they want to sell something garbage, I hear do a dollop a daisy every day of my life. But Wendell and Wild didn't get nothing. No promotion. So it's up to black people to promote it for free. They pulled a Monique on us. They want us to, for free, promote this movie so that if it does bad, they can say, well, black people don't pay the bills. So, oh, well, guess we're never going to ever make Wendell and Wild 2. Guess we're never ever going to make anything black ever again. You blew it one time and you're out. That's literally what they're thinking about. They're making us pay for being black by promoting this movie by ourselves, free of charge, no money. Literally go on Twitter. That is what's happening here. Wendell and Wild doesn't even have its own sticker when you do the hashtag. And if it does happen, it is after I talk about this, which is literally the day after it came out. But interestingly enough, House of the Dragon, they have easily ample amount of time to put some cutesy little dragon sticker or Rhaenyra sticker next to the hashtag. But Wendell and Wild didn't get no hashtag sticker on Twitter. Interesting. I see a lot of people, specifically black people, playing games talking about, oh, it just came out yesterday. As I record this video right now, the second, that's what they're saying. Unless you're not really black and you're just using a black picture on Twitter, this is what I am seeing. I'm seeing people who do not have pictures of people who are depicted as black on their Twitter pages talking about, oh, don't worry about it. It's just, no, I'm going to worry about it. I'm going to keep talking about it because, like I said, phone booth or kissing booth disgustingness, 10 billion, all these disgusting good for nothing shows, but shows like Diddy Girls or movies like Wendell and Wild, for some reason, interestingly enough, y'all are not promoting these things, but you're promoting everything else under the sun. You're promoting disgusting things that are useless and good for nothing. You're not even promoting Cobra Kai. You want to know my opinion about Cobra Kai? Link is in the description to that. Link is also in the description of my Netflix picks and bricks videos. The picks are the picks that I like on Netflix. The bricks are the bricks that I hate, that I want to throw out the window on Netflix. So take a gander at those after this video if you want to see my opinion about what's on Netflix. It is outdated. I need to do a part 3 and a part 4 of my picks and bricks soon. If you want that, please leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. But yeah, don't be talking about how it just came out yesterday. Y'all be putting stuff on YouTube an hour after things happen. Do not be playing games, and I will not be playing games. I will not be accepting that it was just day one. Just give us a chance to watch it. No, you have a chance to watch everything else, and everything else gets coverage out the yin yang. I'm probably going to be the first person, if not one of the top people, posting about Wendell and Wild, because I watched it and I'm going to talk about it. But don't make excuses for them. They did not promote this movie as much as they promote everything else. Stop making excuses. I repeat one last time, stop making excuses for them. So I'm going to talk about the story. The story basically starts with Kat and her parents getting in a car accident because the father didn't want to pull over during a storm. Now, one might say that it's her fault because she screamed. She screamed in the back seat, but she's a little child. She's literally a little child. I screamed, and that doesn't mean everyone turns back around and is like, oh my gosh, when you're going over a bridge. Me personally, my hypothesis was somebody set it up to where they would die, or the demons set it up so that they could take their souls. However, that is not the case. That doesn't happen at the end. I was wrong. So it's kind of like I understand that it's named Wendell and Wild because honestly, everything she goes through is out of her control, except that one time where she kills somebody, literally. They just throw in that she kills somebody, and she went to juvenile detention, and I guess they didn't want to linger on her being in juvenile detention, which I am happy for. Keegan-Michael Key and Peele are in this movie. They play literally skinny demon, fat demon, literally. That's all they do every time when they are on screen. Old dude is really tall and skinny, like Pain and Panic type situation, type tease. That's what's going on. I don't like Keegan Key. I really do hate him. Peele, he's actually doing something with his life at least. He's actually like trying to get black people up on. But I don't know what Key is doing. I don't know what Keegan's doing except darkening his skin to play Michael Jordan on the Epic Rap Battles of History. I really don't see what he does for the community or anything else. I really don't see him doing nothing but just like playing throwaway roles when he's not attached to Peele's side. I feel like most of the comedy between Key and Peele come from Peele. because he knows comedic timing, he knows what to do, and it's mostly Key's laughs are earned off the back of Peele most of the time. If he can't widen his eyes and say something crazy like that, he has no joke. Michael is not funny. He may have some funny moments sometimes, but if Peele isn't there, which the Pentaverant I watched, I didn't finish it because it's one of those things that you just can't watch consecutively. It's really disgusting. The only reason why I watch it is because of Mike Myers, and he's hilarious. So the fact that you're outshined by not only someone that's a legend, it's kind of unfair to Michael because he's like in the boo-boo leagues when it comes to comedy. Keegan-Michael Key, just in this movie, just saying, not necessarily overall, but to be honest, overall, Keegan-Michael Key is a little less funnier than Adam Sandler. And for those who know me, y'all know how much I can't stand Adam Sandler. There's like only 3 movies I can accept without throwing up in my mouth. And also, how do you get overshadowed by Ken? Ken is like this Asian dude that always likes to take these strange roles, and he thinks he's funny and he's not. He's like on The Masked Singer. He's one of the contestants, or one of the judges. What I will say about Ken is he never is unemployed. He's always on something. He's done voice acting. He's on Bob's Burgers pretty frequently. For the most part, I've seen like him on there like 5 times, more times than most, who come in that are actors just popping up, not actually being a voice actor. But back to Wendell and Wild. I'm getting off topic. Like I said, Kat, this whole movie revolves around her having absolutely no agency in her life. Everything that happens to her is because of the outside world. Except, like I said, that time she killed somebody and they fast forward through that like that didn't happen. It's like really insane. It's really hilarious to me because how's she gonna kill somebody and like you're not even gonna bring that up in the movie? That it was literally like you blink and you miss it that she killed somebody. Of course, by accident. She was getting bullied. She was getting bullied because her mom and parent, okay, some things don't make sense. Like, there was this Native American, half black, half Native American woman, I think, and she dropped her off at this Catholic school as she got older. And I don't know if she's her godmother or her whatever. I don't know what she is to her. Maybe she could have been her foster parent, but we barely see her. And it's cool that there is indigenous representation. But please, let's not be dense here. That Native American representation, that indigenous person representation was for 5 seconds. She was only on screen for 5 seconds. I'm glad she got her money because that was the easiest money she's ever made in her life. She only said 2 words. But her character literally is seen in like more flashbacks than she even was introduced in. Like, it's crazy. She had more lines when she was introduced than when we see her multiple times throughout the film. But whatever. There's too many side plots, I think, for this movie. I think if they took one side plot out, it would have felt less rushed because, like, there were all these ties that had to be, like, got up at the end nice and neatly. And for it to be, I don't think this is a kid's movie because they curse and they have a little bit of crude humor. But it's not as crude as I would say The Nightmare Before Christmas did not seem like a kid's movie to me, personally. Not because there was anything bad, but I just feel like kids don't really understand the concept of everything that was going on in Nightmare Before Christmas. If you want to know my opinion about The Nightmare Before Christmas, I actually have a video about it. It's a quick bit that I did during Christmas because The Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas movie. Despite the dude that made it saying it's a Halloween movie, it's pretty interesting that he says that when Halloween isn't in the title. If I make a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie, I'm not going to put the Easter time. Like, I just think it's really interesting that he just doesn't accept that it's a Christmas movie. When Halloween happens at the beginning of the movie and Christmas is the whole plot of the movie, how are you going to say that that's a Halloween movie when the whole plot revolves around Christmas? But whatever, right? Me personally, I loved Coraline as a kid. I didn't care. Coraline, the stuff in Coraline wasn't what scared me as a child. But I know some people who were like, oh my goodness, I was so traumatized by Coraline. Maybe Coraline wasn't meant for the audience that saw it. I don't remember how old I was when Coraline came out. But honestly, like, these animations are like preteen adults. It's for everyone from a certain age to another certain age. I don't believe when anyone says that animation isn't for adults or adults won't consume it. What is wrong with you for real? Do you never come out of your house? Do you have such a turbulent vacuum of an environment surrounding you that you never see any adult enjoying? Like, are you referring to Dora or something? Like, I really don't understand this whole, like, cartoon animation conversation we are having with this dude who has all this money and all this sway to do whatever with whatever. He's just going to lose money and we're all going to be upset. Like, fine, I guess. If you want to lose money, that's fine. Side note, speaking of animation, I would like to add, there's like a separation between Earth and the underworld. I like how it seems like the Earth is three-dimensional while the underneath is like two-dimensional. That's really cool. Speaking of animation, I just think it's interesting that they do this to a little black girl having no agency, going to juvenile detention center. But like I said, I will give them credit. They did not linger on her being in the juvenile detention center, but they made her very crude. And I'm like, what's the point? I can name you 10 crude black girls that they've already created throughout history. Can we not anymore? Like, I'm letting you know right now. Okay, that's cool. Like I said, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. We have to stand our ground on things. And I think it's interesting that we barely get anything. And then when finally a black girl is centered in a story, because like I said, there are less black girls in animation than black boys. And I think it's really interesting that you can name a lot of black characters who are in animation, like Cyborg from Teen Titans and Lock or whatever his name is from My Hero Academia, but there is barely any space in this particular aspect of animation where black girls are not seen. And yes, Bumblebee or Bumble, whatever her girl's name is, was in Teen Titans, but she was not a regular. She was barely there. Don't say just because Cyborg is in the Teen Titans doesn't mean Bumblebee had the exact same amount of like situation going on. They didn't care about her. They gave her nothing to do but sit there and be black and say, hey, look, there's a black girl. Don't come at me but like I said, there's a lot of too many plot points in this movie. There is this side plot about a prison and corruption among the shenanigans that ensues while Kat tries to find a way to revive her parents she thinks she kills. Because, like, me personally, like I said, when she screams, I feel like there was this worm that was two-headed. So I thought those were the demons because there's two demons. But like I said, there's no evidence unless they literally took it out and they just misled us. That doesn't happen. But like I said before, the dad is the one that killed them because the mom was like, can we get off the road? And he was like, nah, fam. He literally was like, nah. But turns out, like I said, she killed or at least hurt somebody enough to go to juvie. The prison plot line comes in handy there. So that was kind of cool because at first it seemed like nothing about the story had anything to do with that, like, prison or whatever. Because there's this little black girl with blonde hair, her parents. So one of them looks like Angelica's doll, Cynthia from the Rugrats. Literally, I promise you, she looks just like that. And this black dude with blonde hair, he looks like a Valerian. I really don't understand why they did that whole blonde hair thing. That was really not necessary. Yes, some black people have naturally blonde hair and blue eyes. But, like, really interesting that you decided to use this facet in this right now, this moment, to just out of nowhere put somebody with blonde hair and blue eyes. Where were the coils? There were barely any coils going on. There was an Indian girl that said barely anything. And when I say Indian, I never, ever, 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 and I never, ever, ever, ever will mean Native American. Indian is from India. Native American is from America. And it would be preferred to call Native Americans indigenous people. But I may mix up and say Native American. I do my best to say indigenous because that's what Native Americans, that's what indigenous people prefer to be called. But there was this Indian girl, barely said anything, but she was in there, and most of the coils and stuff, most of the aesthetic of blackness came from Kat. And like I said, she was very abrasive. Not a character that people would want to root for when they have no idea her trials and tribulations. Yes, okay, cool. We know that her parents died. We know that Harry Potter's parents died. But we feel worse about that because he's with the Dursleys. He's got a bad situation. They don't even remember his birthday. Kat is going around with chip on shoulder. Everyone's being nice to her at this new place. And she's treating people like crap. It's kind of like setting your character up to be hated by a fan base that doesn't even exist yet. So how about you stop doing that with black characters? At least black girls, for the most part, because like I said, there's about 50 black girls I could think of act just like that in animation, in TV that don't exist. They didn't have to be that way. Somebody directed them to be that way, or someone wrote them to be that way. But we're not asking for that anymore. It would have been nice to actually see the juvenile detention center situation, because she kind of tells the audience later when her parents get revived, oh, I had to be tough. I had to, because they're like, oh, you're tougher than before. She's like, oh, I had to be da-da-da-da. It was really quick that they show that she was bullied like twice, and they showed the same scene. That's kind of dumb. Why did you show the same scene? But whatever. So the other plot line follows Wendell and Wild. Even like I said, it's really interesting because we don't start with Wendell and Wild. Whoever we start with, it should be called that. Wonder Woman is called Wonder Woman because it's about Wonder Woman. Forget all the rest of the plot lines. It's about Wonder Woman. Coraline is about Coraline. Wendell and Wild should have been called Cat. Something. It should have been called something. Could have been called My Demons Have Names. But the overall arching story does not circle around Wendell and Wild. She's called like a heck maiden, H-E-double hockey stick maiden. And I think that's really interesting. That could have been what the movie was called. But I guess they don't want to put that in the title of a kids, quote unquote, kids movie. Because I really don't think this is a kids movie, to be honest. Just because there's a kid in it doesn't mean that it's for kids. But there's another example as to why this movie should not have been called Wendell and Wild. And I think that's really interesting, Mr. Key and Peele or whatever. I'm going to just call both of y'all, if I ever refer to one of you, Key and Peele, because y'all love to be birds of a feather. But it's funny how this dude's like, I'm going to make a movie where a black woman or a black girl is at the center. But interestingly enough, she's abrasive and no one's going to like her. And the movie's not called Cat. The movie's not even called Heck Maiden. It's called Wendell and Wild, when it's not their story. It's not their story. So Wendell and Wild, they want to go to the real world. They're in the underworld or whatever. Cat is, like I said, their heck maiden that can summon them. I guess that's what that means. If you're a heck maiden, that means you can be summoned by that person up in the real world and on Earth. She wants to make a deal to get her parents back in exchange for summoning to Earth, which she does, but they get lost and summon the Archpope Duke or whatever his name is, the headmaster of their Catholic school, who was killed by Valerian and Angelica's doll from the Rugrats. Cynthia, like I said. You know, the doll with the 3 hairs on her head. Literally looks just like her. There's an extra layer of this movie I didn't really understand. I mean, the father dude was like, oh, I want money. And there was something like, and then he wants to revive all the dead council members who can help him save the school or whatever. So being a heck maiden means you have power. Bassett's character, great actress, who also can do voice acting, I guess, is one who can teleport, and Kat can see the future. So but we don't know that till the end. So Wendell and Wild literally weren't supposed to leave the underworld. So their dad goes up without having to be summoned for some reason and is banished as soon as he comes. Like, there was no problem with him being there. He didn't cause no wreck. He didn't cause no trouble. He literally comes in as quickly as he leaves. It's really ridiculous. Like I said, this movie goes by too quickly. And there's this dude that lets him know, oh, hey, I got all your kids, because he's like, oh, I'm upset that Wendell and Wild left me, because they were like literally trimming his beard and doing stuff and living on his body, literally living on his body. and they wanted to leave. And so apparently that happened many times before. He had a bunch of kids, and the dude in the wheelchair, who was like the custodial worker or something of the Catholic Church, literally has all his children. Isn't that ironic? We don't even have to go through really much of anything before he's like, okay, deal, I'll leave if you give me my kids. And he doesn't want Wendell or Wild because they're still there. But literally, Wendell and Wild have this cream that makes his hair grow and whatever. What I thought was cool was the aesthetic, like the locks of his hair were coils. That was cool. But that's how they revive people. They've been using his hair cream. And turns out when the guy leaves, when the father leaves, he's like, oh yeah, that stuff doesn't last. His hair fell out. And that means the parents are going to die. Turns out there's someone that I didn't talk about because they barely give them anything to do. There's this transgender boy named Raul, and Raul becomes Kat's friend for some reason because Kat is really abrasive, like I said, very, very unlikable. If the masses get a hold of this movie, they're going to really hate her, even though this abrasiveness would be seen as a good trait in any other ethnicity, in anybody who was lighter skin toned, because people love Azula, people love Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, the breaker of chains, the mother of dragons, all that yada yada. They love abrasiveness when it's not a black girl. And me personally, certain characters like Lashana from Total Drama Island, speaking of which, just to let y'all know, Total Drama Island's coming back. I may do a post about that because I have things to say about Total Drama Island, Total Drama Action, the Redonkulous race. I have a lot to say about those things, and they're all Canadian, I think, so I can't wait to talk about them. Real interesting. But Lashana from Total Drama Island is very abrasive. I wouldn't change her character, though she does fall in line under certain stereotypes that I don't like, because Total Drama Island was all about breaking stereotypes, and it's interesting how you can break stereotypes on, I think his name was DJ, the black boy, the only black boy in the first season, but the black girl, you like, let me put sugar, spice, and everything that makes someone, honestly, you know what I mean? Like, he was making the Powerpuff Girls, except if they were nothing but stereotypes when you made Lashana. Everyone else was different. You literally made everyone different. Even Duncan, he had a sweet side, and he was supposed to be this rough and tough dude. Gwen, you made Gwen emo, but you made her very emotional, like in a different way, not sad or anything like that. You made her anxious. Everyone had different, like, they turned the stereotype on their head except for Lashana. With Kat, they rushed through the story so quickly in the middle and last half of the movie, and like the end was real touching to me. But to someone not interested or invested in this girl, by the end might not feel anything because of how fast the conclusion feels. I cried just a little bit, just a wee bit, because it was sad. The music is really nice. I liked all the colors they used. Key and Peele almost ruined the movie for me because they aren't always funny. Pros, I liked that a black girl was the main character of the story. Angela Bassett did amazing, and I like the diverse cast of characters. Raul is Hispanic. His mom's Hispanic. We see her for 2 seconds. It doesn't really matter. She's like a I don't know. It's crazy because they make it seem like she's like a judge or something, but I could have sworn she said she was a paralegal. Please let me know if I'm mistaken in the comments. But she acts like she's the one that is like making the calls at the end of the movie when all the guys come back to life and they're like, oh, and they're voting on something, but they're all old and crusty and they don't know, they don't care. They're basically going to break down the school or whatever. I don't know. I really have no idea what the whole thing was. They were trying to save the town, and in the end they saved the town or whatever. Yay. Don't really understand how that happened because, like I said, it's going too quickly. If I, an adult at 24 years of age, thinks that the movie was too fast and I didn't understand some parts, what makes you think that a child is going to think, wow, that was a great conclusion? So let's talk about the cons. I'll tell you how I feel about the overall movie after. The cons, when people are revived, there isn't enough freak out for me. like you were just dead and now you're alive, and all you gotta say is, oh my, that was all right, I guess. Like, cinematography looks so good, sometimes it looks like it's in real life. But the claymation people in this movie have these lines on them, like on their nose, on their neck, and on their back. You usually see those things in pre-production because they have to move them and change expressions. Like where you see the lines is where they remove it and put another expression, or they move it, and it's very malleable. However, they are overall absent in movies like Coraline and The Nightmare Before Christmas, while they are very much so evident and annoying to look at in this movie. Another thing, the plot, like I said, the plot moves along way quickly, especially when the parents are revived. They're like, Raul's in trouble, isn't he? Like, why are you telling us and not showing us? And why would they know that or care? They just woke up from being dead. Like, bro, how would you know? Are you clairvoyant now because you died? I just don't understand. The main character is very abrasive, and maybe it makes sense plot-wise, but we can stop with the making the dark-skinned character black girl that way. Like I said, I can name 10 right now sitting here just like that. The funniest thing about all this at the end is Cynthia and the Valerian dude gets arrested. In the fourth plot line, there's like 4 or 5 plot lines that we're supposed to follow. Somehow a child's supposed to follow in a 1 hour and 45-minute movie with 4 plot lines about arson and murder, right? So funny thing is, those people that they revived, some of them were killed in a fire by those people because they're rich and whatever. They're rich. And that girl that has blonde hair, blue eyes, black girl, those are her parents. And they get arrested, and they don't even address how she's going to live. The Catholic school or whatever is a boarding school, so she can live there a little bit, but aren't they going to seize their assets? They were arrested for arson and murder. How is she going to live? They don't even talk about that. They just at the end, funny thing, hilarious. At the end, they do these little screenshots of things, and she's kind of doing something, she looks successful or whatever. That just doesn't make no sense. I'm not playing those games. You need to not have things open-ended like that, and don't be like, oh, we're just opening up for another movie. It's not called Her. It's called Wendell and Wild. So why would you open up on another movie about somebody else when it's not about Wendell and Wild? That's why I said it should have been called Cat, because how are we going to make another movie without it keeping Wendell and Wild in this situation when they did nothing to make the plot great? They did nothing. They actually hurt the plot. Like I said, Keegan-Michael Key is not funny. He's only funny sometimes. If he can't bug out his eyes and open his mouth real wide, he can't do anything funny. So if he is a voice actor, if he's doing voice acting, you cannot do that. You cannot, unless the people are looking at you and they can make the character look just like you, which they kind of did their best. But like Peele isn't fat. He's just shorter than Keegan-Michael Key. So it's whatever. It's whatever because, like I said, that's the only way they know how to be funny, I guess. So that's what they do. I give this movie, if I want to be honest, it's an 8 out of 10. I think it's good, but there's some things that need to be worked on. Why is the story not called Cat or Heck Maiden if it was such an important plot point and then it's just interesting. It just so happens to be another girl who's a Heck Maiden, and she's in this Catholic church. She's like a sister or something. I only remember Kat's name, to be honest, in Wendell and Wild, because the name of the stupid story is called Wendell and Wild when it's not about them. Oh, it's about them going to... No, it's not. Watch the movie and tell me what you think that movie's about. Why are we following these two dudes who are not funny? I just want to let you know, if Keegan-Michael Key and Peele watch this ever, it was a bad thing to call this movie Wendell and Wild. You could have said, my demons have names. You literally used that tagline to sell the movie, but you could have called this movie anything else. It's really shameful that you called it Wendell and Wild when y'all literally almost ruined the movie with your presence. You were not funny. It was not funny. No joke landed for you. Maybe 2 jokes. And they were jokes that if anyone else said, they would have been funny as well. It's not because of you. And that's my honest opinion about Wendell and Wild. Like I said, please go on Netflix. Please double like it, because they did no promotion for this movie. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to say, oh well, yes, we'll never make a movie like this again, even though, like I said, there's marks on the stupid claymation characters. Why didn't you do better with that? Oh, it's supposed to be there. No, it's not. No, it's not. If you put those lines there, it's because you wanted those lines to be there. They're very distracting. You can barely see those lines in other movies like that. Coraline does not have a big old line across her face. She doesn't. And a lot of these characters do. Even Robot Chicken doesn't look this bad. It's like I said, the animation is really good. But the claymation characters themselves, what on earth? And what I will say about this movie is it's cool because some of the animation was like way life-sized. If you watch to the end, they'll show you how they made the movie, some of it. And that's basically all I have to say. I'm really done. Hopefully this gets out soon, but I'm just so busy right now.